Welcome, welcome, welcome to James Hates Everything and another Saturday night live stream for May 4th, Star Wars Day 2024. Tonight, we are talking all things Miss Pac-Man XL. We'll look at the rumors, the counter rumors, and some exclusive new information that you'll only get here. So let's get into it right after this. Hey guys, thanks for joining me once again. I appreciate it. If this is your first time here and you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. Everybody else, appreciate it if you could hit that like button. It really helps the channel, yada, 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 all that jazz. Tonight, I want you guys to know that this show is as much yours as it is mine. So if you have an opinion, if you want to discuss this, please drop a chat in the comments and we will discuss it. But before we begin, I want to say hi to everybody who has already joined us. And of course, first in the chat is the Cornercade. Guys, let's go. Paul Mindeman joins us to discuss Arcade 1-Up, his favorite subject. No pinball tonight, just Arcade 1-Up chat. We have Dr. Jeffrey W. in the house. He says, I hope not, and it's on me, but the Pac-Man XL got sold, LOL. Give me the truth, James. I can take it. And Wade Tripp is in the house giving us a wave. And of course, everybody's favorite mod, Jason Lil Alien, wants to get nuts. And Kevin Clausen says, hi, James, you got duped? That's the question, did I? Maybe, maybe not. We'll talk about it. Addicted to Arcade 1-Up says, hold on, I'm running late. I'll be there in a second. All right, everybody, we're stopping the show. We're going to wait for Addicted to Arcade 1-Up to join us. And then Kevin Clausen says, give the people what they want. Oh, and Addicted says, we can go ahead and start. So good thing we waited. Darth Penguin 66 is in the house, says he just wants something new. And we all agree. Does James have the power to help produce more 1-Up XLs? Tune in tonight to find out. I wish I had that power. C-Mart, the Centertainer. Interesting, the Centertainer. What's up, James? Well, what's up, C-Mart? And Paul Mendes says, I come here for the lack of pinball and the lack of nostalgia, but mostly nostalgia. Excellent. Excellent indeed. So let's take a moment and let's review how we got here, right? Those of you who joined us before may remember I got a tip, and it was about 2 weeks ago today, actually, and of Miss Pac-Man XL from a person who purports to be an employee of Costco in the New York, New Jersey area. So that's how we got here, right? That caused a lot of turmoil. I wanted to just get that tip out there of this XL along with the information he provided to kind of prove who he was, to give us his bona fides. So let's take one moment to look at what he said. The Stock Jock says, looking forward to the biggest rumor of the year, true or false? So Pac-Man XL, this leaker, this tipster, whatever you want to call him, says Miss Pac-Man XL will be the Costco exclusive for 2024. He says it's coming with a 19-inch BOE monitor and that powder baby blue that we all know and love from the original Miss Pac-Man. He says Costco has ordered 15,500 of these, which is an increase of about 17% over the number of Pac-Man XLs that they received, and we'll go into that in just a minute. He says they are only going to the US Costco locations, and he lists 626 as the number of stores. And Kevin says, uh, nice. James is never wrong. Boy, I wish that were the case. That's certainly what John D said, but I think he just got the name wrong. Dr. Jeffrey W says looks gorgeous, and it would look gorgeous. And the leaker's name rhymes with beep throat. Indeed, indeed. So, what did the leaker say as his proof that he has? I'm getting some feedback here. So let me know if you have any problems hearing me because I'm trying to control my volume here. Um, what did the leaker say in order to give us some numbers, some proof that he might actually have this information and is not just making it up? He said there were 13,250 units of Pac-Man XL sold. And that, of course, Pac-Man XL was the Costco exclusive for 2023, came out around the August, September timeframe for the holiday rush. He said of those 13,250, 12,385 of those units were sold, and 865 units were marked as returned. Now, this doesn't mean that they were necessarily all returned, right? It says they're marked as returned because, as you know, as has been discussed on other channels, oftentimes Arcade One Up gets into a deal with these retailers where if they discount a cab, they will pay a portion of the difference in order to make up the revenue lost. And so this leaker says of those 865 cabs, and let me give you some focus out of the way, 626 were display models that sold at $499.99, potentially less as, of course, the discounts went on. And 239 of those were actual returns to Arcade One Up due to cosmetic damage or other PCB issues. So that's what he's told us, right? And so I tried to put that out there to get information from people for other people that could have the ability to check these numbers out, whether that's people with contacts within Arcade One Up. They could reach out and say, hey, how many did you actually sell? How many were returned? That would let them know, hey, whether this leaker has any don't want to keep saying bona fides, but has any clout, any truth to what he's saying. But we haven't heard anything on that. What we have heard is a couple other big Arcade One Up home arcade YouTubers have talked about the rumors that they've heard. And so let's talk about those real quick. And Paul says, now this is the XL Pac-Man at Costco we're seeing. And I want Pac-Man XL and Ms Pac-Man XL. And Jason says, validity. Stock Josh says, can you tell your Watergate tipster to tell Costco that Robotron XL is preferred? That would be awesome because it not only would be a big one, but it would be a new one, which we all want to see is a new set of games out. And Carl O is in the house and says, street cred Jason. So, of course, if you did not see it, you probably did. But I joined Michael B on his show 2 Mondays ago. And clickety-click here, folks. What is going on? There we go. And Michael B said he had heard some other rumors. P-Dubs says, screenshots or we riot. Well, I have good news for you, P-Dubs. I have photos. So we will take a look at that evidence in just a bit. So Michael B said what he's hearing is, and I'm trying to translate this right, but you guys can go back and watch that from his show a couple Mondays ago. But what he's saying is that he heard it's could be a Miss Pac-Man, but it's likely not an XL. That he was hearing it was either a Miss Pac-Man Deluxe or a Miss Pac-Man pub table. So that's it. That was interesting to hear. And so, I wondered at the time, well, was that rumor somebody confusing? You'll see in this picture is the Pixel Bash pub table. I know they call it a bar table, but the Pixel Bash mixed Pac-Man and Pac-Man bar table is currently showing up in stores. So that's pretty interesting. I wondered if there was some, maybe mixing of maybe Costco is also getting something from Pixel Bash and that moved things around. Who knows? I wasn't quite sure at the time to make of that rumor, but obviously Michael B has lots of contacts within Arcade One Up, so that was very interesting to hear. And Carlos says a pub table sounds more interesting, to be honest. That's interesting. So I'm gonna throw up a poll here for you in a little bit, and you can definitely get your views in on that. And then Kevin Clausen says to Stock Jocks, last night's show was so fun. Dubs was drinking and answering all your questions, and I missed it. I saw the replay though. Hilarious. And happy belated birthday to P Dubs. Sorry, I missed you on Super Game Room Dudes last night. I know you weren't there. Decadent Day says, I've been saying Miss Pac-Man XL since November, but Michael B and 19K Fox kept saying Golden TXL, and it turned out to be Golden T Deluxe. Biggie D says, hey guys, thanks for joining us, Biggie D. Stock Jock says, I know I listened to it on my 3.5 hour drive today. Ugh, fun. And Dr. Jeffrey W says, P Dubs, I watched as well. Good late night fun. And everybody's giving kudos to P Dubs for his great, apparently drunken stream. We've all been saying it, Miss Pac-Man XL, since the moment they said it, they wanted another XL, and that's exactly right, Paul. It seems like the most logical choice since the first one sold so well, and they were reportedly happy with it. And Carlos says hi to Biggie D. And P-Dub says sorry about his behavior. Evan Clausen says, Biggie D, congrats on your Mavs, not the Clippers fans, but I thought that they would have put up more of a fight. And Carlo says, I hope it's mixed Pac-Man XL so Jason can get one to go with his Pac-Man. Let's see the photos. And P-Dubs, hey everybody, JR, thanks for jumping in. And I felt really bad for Mike at the end. And then the Mavs. All this NBA finals, or not finals, but playoff talk. Heard the Nuggets took it to the Lakers earlier this week, so that's always good to see. All right, so that was Michael B. Michael B saying he's not here in XL, he's here in the pub table or a deluxe. So then, if you were a 19K Fox member last week on his show, it'll be a week tomorrow, he said he's also hearing a pub table is the exclusive for Costco, only he's hearing it's a Galaga pub table. So what are you guys' thoughts? A Galaga pub table? So that's the big poll here, right? So I'll throw up this poll. So far, with what the information you have, will it be a Pac-Man XL? Will it be a Miss Pac-Man Deluxe or pub table? Will it be a Galaga pub table? Or as the rumor was several months back, will it be a new Golden T Deluxe? If I could put a fifth option on there, it would be, dear Lord, anything. Just get us something new that's exciting. Elio says, what's up, everyone? And P-Dubs likes the pick there of 19K Fox. Everything that's a fake picture, 19th. Wait, that's part of my name, Dur. That's a fake picture. 19K Fox doesn't think. Ha ha ha. LOL, and 19K Fox be trolling. So before I go on to the picture, because the next slide is our picture, let's talk about how I got it. So I started reaching out to a few people and people that I knew worked at Costco and could get me some information. It took a little bit, but I teased this talking with Michael B that I had some information that I was waiting on. Well, I got that information probably 2 days after talking with Michael B. So once I had the information, I went back to the original leaker and I wanted to give him an opportunity to comment on it, to talk about it, so we can go from there. Um, Unfortunately, I have not heard back from that person. So take of that what you will. Um, the person does not know yet what information I have. So if he's watching this, he's seeing this for the first time. So I'm really interested in hearing from him about it because I think it will be interesting. And when I explain and talk about this coming up, you'll see what I mean by what could be interesting or not interesting, depending on your take. And so uh says none of the above. I'll be a Pong XL pub table. All these guys are pulling our legs. I love Fox and he knows it. Yeah, everybody loves Fox. Here I am on May 4th and no Star Wars XL, no Star Wars Deluxe deals to be found. Yeah, and I noticed, Doug Dog, Star Wars is missing. It seems like it's out of stock everywhere, which I found really interesting considering like even NFM has a bunch of them and they just disappeared off their website. So I don't know what's going on there. It's pretty interesting. I don't think they just magically all sold out all at the same time. Um, so pretty strange. Um, Dicted says update. Carlos said, did A1 take A1 up take out the leaker? Maybe, you never know. Who is the leaker and why is his first name John? It is not John D. Um, Update slide screen share. I was hoping At Games would surprise us with Star Wars ALP 4K skin today. That would have been nice. Stupid Fat Hobbit says, I work at Costco. Of course, we have hot dogs for $1.50. Excellent. So, did you join the union there? Aren't several of their stores trying to unionize? I think. Let's see. Everybody's laughing at P-Dubs. Yeah, no Star Wars at Wayfair. Cyrus dropped the ball again. Wasn't Star Wars a Shop Hippo thing? It was. It definitely was a Shop Hippo thing, but they had them at the NFM by me. They had them in stock in person. You could go in and play it and everything. So it was pretty interesting that it was supposed to be just a Shop Hippo thing. Um, Paul Mendeman says John didn't even know Costco sold the first 13,000 XLs, and that is true. You mentioned that in the live chat, right? That so I try to keep all my conversations with John in that chat or other public spaces, and so that's how you know the rumor did not come from him. But he was able to confirm the 13,000 sold, which was interesting. But this was before we had the other numbers. Um, Michael B's in the house. Thanks for joining. Get to the mountain already, Frodo. Hey, I gotta milk this for all that it's worth, right? Is the leaker from Vault 31 by chance? Possibly. Another great show. Yeah, recently I'm seeing Star Wars and Fast and Furious start to show up at other retailers. I guess the exclusive window expired or something. Let's see. John D wishes Costco sold 13,000 Blitzes XLs. They may have. I think the problem is they needed to sell like 50,000 of them. P-Dub says James is really dragging this out. New channel name, James Milks Everything. Indeed. It says I do hear more than one XL title was mentioned many months ago in discussions between Costco and A1 Up. I cannot go any further for that. I had, uh, you, I heard what I think I've heard something about that when it was quote unquote the year of XLs that there may be more than one XL there. Um, but if what Travis MCP said the other day on Corner Cage Show that Arcade One Up has cut way back due to the economy and things like that. Who knows what happened there, which, I've got a lot to say about that. I found really interesting. In talking with John, right, he's publicly mentioned that it takes 12 to 18 months to get a cab from design phase through production and into the US, right? So if you think that's a 12 to 18-month window, these leaks that we were talking about, year of the XL and all that stuff, it was pretty much fourth quarter of 2024. So for Arcade One Up to just pivot, makes you wonder, given the timing, if they didn't pivot actually way before that. Because how do you stop the production runs if they're already in the process of building these things before they even get to the shipping stage? Now, maybe the final builds take less time, but in which case, did Arcade One Up invest a bunch of money in design and then just sit on it? Maybe. Maybe, they figure they can roll those out at some future date. I don't know, but given the lead time from the start of a project to delivery of the cab of being 12 to 18 months, seems pretty hard to just pivot on a dime and cut back and say we were going to do 12 titles and now we're only doing 6 or 5 or 4 or whatever. Seems very difficult to do. And actually I wanted to Doug Dog says, I've been out of the loop for a while. Did John D ever come out with his big announcement? He is working on it, and we hear sometime soon. But we shall see. Mike Hawk says, sorry joining late. And Mike Hawk hurts. I'm going to make sure to pronunciate that. Sorry joining late. I'm going to watch from the beginning. Just wanted to say hi in real time. Well, hello, Mike Hawk hurts. And Carlo, James does foreplay well. It's May 4th. Should speculate on Star Wars XL. We could speculate on Star Wars XL. James leaks everything. I wish. Oh, jumped right past Addicted to Arcade. Michael B would have made 18 videos on the little bit of information. I don't think so. Doug Dog. Nope. John D has been trolling A1 Up, but not announced anything. That is correct. John D said it took remarkable amount of pushing to even get Shop Hippo to take the Star Wars re-release. He did say that, which is surprising. And of course, as Michael B mentioned, he heard that Costco took one look at Star Wars and said the graphics were ugly. 2024 will be the year of the XL lies. And thanks, Paul. And JR says, remember when A1 Up said they were going to release a new Pro Series every quarter? Now, they said that if their test of 500 units for KI Pro went well, and considering you could still buy those up to about a month and a half ago, I don't think it went well. So I think that Pro idea is dead and buried. After losing ThinkUp, A1 Up's cab and package designers, it makes sense to do a Miss Pac-Man XL using the same Pac-Man XL shape. That is correct. Isn't that nuts? They treat Star Wars like we aren't vaguely familiar with this IP. Exactly. Otherwise, who's designing A1 Up's new cabs? Yep, retailers have said they hate the graphics. Yeah, which they should have shown them Return of the Jedi. At least it looks more like a video game they're more familiar with. By the way, back here playing on this screen is Namco Star Wars, so I figured it was a good version to throw on. It's Namco Star Wars that is exclusive to the Famicom system. So it's a retro version of Star Wars made by Namco, since we're talking Miss Pac-Man XL on Star Wars Day. Decadent Dave says, I trust 24-year-olds anymore. The graphics in Star Wars are classic, not ugly. I mean, they were cool with Miss Pac-Man graphics. Exactly. And Cornercade says, that's it, I'm calling it. And Kevin says, let's fucking go. Let's go. Okay. And now enough hemming and hawing. So I've talked about all that. So the person that gave me this photo is a reliable source. And I'm for now going to keep his name quiet. but I can tell you he's provided information before. Uh, he does work at Costco, and it is good information. So make of that what you will. So can you give us a rough estimate how long it'll take you to show the picture? Probably 2 minutes. Ha. And then, no, James, I didn't use the F word. No, I did. Are you ready for this news? Okay, here we go. Here it is. A screenshot from this is um this is Costco's, what do they call it? IOH system. So it is their inventory on hand system. So this system, you'll notice it lists every single Arcade One Up product they've had since fiscal year 20, right? So you got the arcade, and it's not in order. So you have the Arcade One Up Space Invaders and Space Invaders Arcade with the Rise machine with the riser. That was in both of those were in fiscal year 21. You have the Arcade One Up NBA Jam also in fiscal year 21. Digital Star Wars Marvel Pinball fiscal year 21. Arcade One Up Mini Arcade Pac-Man in 2020. Arcade One Up Mini Arcade Mortal Kombat in 2020. Of course, Pac-Man XL, which was last year. Pac-Man Partycade fiscal year 2024 for this year. Star Wars Pinball, which would have been last year's, though the date isn't on that one. And then, of course, Arcade One Up Pac-Man and Stool in 2020 and Arcade One Up Pac-Man Bundle in 2021. So what's the deal, right? This picture does not show Miss Pac-Man XL. It does not show Miss Pac-Man Deluxe. It does not show a Miss Pac-Man pub table. It does not show a Galaga pub table. So what it does tell us is that at least this system doesn't list any of those, so we can confirm none of those rumors. But my source was clear to say that this doesn't actually mean they aren't getting any of those. That items only show up in the IOH system once Costco knows exactly how many they are getting on their order. So there are two systems apparently. One where they place the orders, which is what this other person claims they have access to. Again, trying to get a response from him. So we will see. And then the in-store or IOH system is where the stores can check how much inventory they will be receiving, et cetera, et cetera. So it is a photo, but it doesn't tell us jack shit other than we have no confirmation of any of the rumors, no confirmation of Golden Tea, no confirmation of a pub table, a Miss Pac-Man Deluxe, or a Miss Pac-Man XL. So that's the new information I have. I wanted to share with you just to let you know it's not dead, it's not confirmed, but neither are any of the other ones. So, not the greatest of evidence of anything. It's more lack of evidence of anything. It says, what is that Fallout? Chris North by Northwest says, is your source the greater guy from movie Idiocracy? Maybe. It's the Fallout hacking minigame. Well, you know, these inventory systems are about 10,000 years old, so you know what that is. Show us page 2. There's unfortunately no page 2. This is the whole thing. You just debunked your own leak. Possibly that's the whole point of, was I duped? Was I not duped? Is it real? Is it fact or fiction? And in this case, we can confirm nor deny any of those rumors. So you have the IOH system, again, inventory on hand. And then you have the supposed source of the other guy's system. Again, there are things about the other guy's, the original leaker that are bothering me. One, like I said, I gave him an opportunity to respond. He did not respond. And you'll notice, Michael, the date on here, he says is the inventory from system from 1980. It probably is. The date on this is, you can see it was taken on April 25th, which is the day it was sent to me. So, you know, it is recent. He said, Jason says, is the system that took forever to show the already confirmed Pac-Man XL that was already showing in the store, of which I got one in the first in the country. Laugh out loud. This system is the same one that was used to tell us exactly how many were coming, if that gives you a hint as into where I got this. Um, James, is this a clickbait video? Not really, because I wanted to provide the information that I did have. We're either right or wrong. I want you guys to have the latest information and of what I can confirm and what I can't confirm. And so right now, from an in-store source rather than in warehouse, or they call them depots, the in depot source claims it's on order, that they've ordered the 15,500. Don't know how many they're actually getting. This person says it's not in our system, but neither is the pub tables or any other product for 2024 other than the ones that have already been received, and they won't know until the warehouse has a, a order confirmation, essentially. So once Costco knows how many they'll be getting from Arcade One Up, how many will be fulfilled, then this system will be updated. So the point here is that we basically still can't cross any of these rumors off the table, that any of them could be real, any of them could be fake, until I can get more information from this original leaker. I will have to leave it up to you guys could draw your own conclusions. Some of the things that bother me about what he said, again, first, his lack of response bothers me, that he didn't follow up. I mean, I give him grace. Maybe he didn't see my request for a response. Um, Two, the number of stores that he claims exist bothers me. I can find no confirmation of 626 Costco's. There were publicly only 606 listed on their website. I do know there are 14 in construction that were supposed to be deployed sometime last year and the beginning of this year, but seems premature to claim there were 626 last year. So it depends what are those other 20 stores he's talking about, if they existed. Do they have other brands that I'm not aware of? I couldn't confirm any of that. That bothers me. Um, P-Dub says it's fake news. It's dead. I'm going to choose to be optimistic because it doesn't cost me anything. I agree, Dr. Jeffrey W. I think there's still hope. I think once you know, if I don't hear anything from the original source within the next like week or so, I'm gonna assume that he was just making up numbers. But again, uh, you know, if we could find out from people who have contacts within an Arcade One Up what the sales numbers were on Pac-Man XL, that would go a long way to validating the original leaker. It's good to know that the Commodore 64 is still in use. Indeed. James does hate us. He told us nothing. James, you tells nothing is more like it. Go away. But 10, whatever that is. Oh, LFG. Talk about master of leading you on. Mortal Kombat XL. Yeah, so strange that they're not promoting the spectate mode at all. Seems weird. Seems like a lost opportunity to throw Mortal Kombat Deluxe on sale and just like sell a ton of them. Because I still don't have a Mortal Kombat 2 Deluxe because I have the Legacy one, which isn't all that. I mean, mostly same game list, but I probably would have bought the Mortal Kombat 2 Deluxe if they throw it on a 20% off. Stupid Fat Hobbit says, looking at the list makes me want a new Space Invaders over another Miss Pac-Man. That would be cool. That's the first thing I did when I looked at this, was saw that at the top and then realized, oh, it's just the old stuff. Who wants to stream tonight? I'm free. And that's exactly the point, Paul. It doesn't confirm or squash any of the rumors. It could be a Miss Pac-Man pub table, it could be a Miss Pac-Man Deluxe, it could be a Galaga pub table, or it could be the one we actually want, Miss Pac-Man XL, of those. Though I do know some people found the pub table an interesting thought. My opinion, I'm somewhat uh interested in how many pub tables could they sell versus an XL cabinet, right? Would the same people that bought Pac-Man XL, could you sell 13,000 plus pub tables, whether they be Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, whatever? Do you think they could move that kind of number of a pub table versus a replica arcade like the XL? I think that's a hard sell in my opinion. I think they could sell some, but I think the numbers that we would be talking about with a Miss Pac-Man XL, I don't know that they could come close selling that many numbers on one of those pub tables. Just my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know how many of the Pong ones sold. I do know people liked that. It was a 4-player. It would a Miss Pac-Man pub table or a Galaga pub table be 4-player or 2? Does it just have 2 joysticks? Are the joysticks on top interfering with, like, where your drinks and stuff go, the joysticks and buttons up there? Or are they underneath the pub tables like in those Pixel Bash, bar tables that we showed? Interesting stuff. Says, "James, did you say your leaker was a Costco employee? If so, I trust you, but I don't get them fired." That's exactly it. That's why I haven't said either one. So so one of them I know their names. The other one I don't know their name, but I do know for a fact that the one that provided this 100% works there. The other one claims to work there. And so again, photographic evidence from the one, not from the original leaker. Um, but I'm protecting their names because I don't want them to get in trouble for information. And that may explain why the original leaker hasn't followed up, um, because he doesn't want to bring any more attention. Maybe he didn't think it was wise once he put it out there, or maybe he made the whole thing up. Costco inventory screen is why Bezos has a backup yacht for his yacht. Yeah, you'd be surprised at how many companies are running old systems like this. I mean, this is clearly, you know, I bet it's still running on a modern version of Windows, but it's a terminal screen that's going to some old ass, probably Unix based or Cobalt based uh, database in the back end. It is lots of companies have this old crap lying around that they use this stuff for. Um, Nebraska Furniture Marts is very similar to this. It's crazy. And of course, the industry I am, everybody has super old stuff. But well, let's just hope something is coming. How about that? I agree. I want something new, something to get excited about. Um, I know some people found the X-Men 97 cab exciting. I already, again, it's just a new skin. It's nice looking. It's a great looking cab. Glad the show was awesome because, we all had fears of what Disney does. But everybody seems to love the show. I haven't watched it yet because I'm rewatching all the old ones first and taking my dear old sweet time because I'm watching them with my little kids. So before we get into the new one, and then you can put this in a nice Excel spreadsheet for everyone. Final field grand total 0 Miss Pac-Mans. And then what was your source looking at when he said Costco bought 15,000 Miss Pac-Man XL? Where's that photo? That's exactly it. I don't have a photo from that person. Trying to get follow-up from them to clarify. I've also talked to other Costco employees, not specifically about this, but about some of the information he did say, right? So he gave details about insider stuff within Costco that only a Costco insider would know because Costco has its own language, uh, which is, I guess, probably every company does, but it's especially that case at Costco. There's a lingo that means various different things. This person provided some of those. You can look some of them up, but some of them weren't readily available. So I reached out to some other people that would know. And that's was interesting because they were correct. So I found that to be very interesting. Um, so whoever this person is, he knows something about the inner workings of Costco. And in doing the research, there's a several articles on the Costco lingo you can read. These things were not in any of those. So they're not just out there on the web where you can find them. And yet the original leaker knew them, which to me adds a bit of provenance there, but still doesn't actually mean anything. He could be just making stuff up, or have somebody he knows. Like it's just right now the point is can confirm nothing. Thanks for the heads up. Sorry, this guy was yanking your crank. Hey, I, P Dubs, I'm not worried about that at all. Like that's why when I put it out, I wanted to get it out for everybody to see with the information he provided because I don't know this person enough to say I can trust them at all. And the other information they provided with order amounts and things of the original Pac-Man XL can be easily verified by people who know people at Arcade One Up. I'll just leave it at that. Like these numbers can be confirmed. And if those numbers end up being accurate, uh, all I'll say is that's pretty good evidence that what he's saying is true. If they're not accurate, and again, I suspect they might not be, they just might be numbers pulled from his rear. But he's got a lot of information that tracks if they are just pulled from his rear end. Um, but there are numbers I have questions about, right? Like the number of locations that just doesn't seem right to me that it's off by 20 stores, but who knows. And thanks for joining us, Dubs. Happy belated birthday again. Jason says there are no Miss Pac-Mans in any warehouse. If it were true, it won't be for many months. That is correct. The original leaker just said they have them. They placed an order for 15,500, and that is all he knew. Is other than the fact that when they get them, they won't distribute them to Canada. Uh, is this like Glenn and New Wave Toys? The news is we can confirm there will be news in the future. I think so. I will let you know the person who provided me this photo is going to continue to look and keep us updated. So as soon as he has information on what is coming, we will find out about it. He has promised that. Uh, they weren't physically incoming to warehouses until August of last year. That is correct. Though we should know how many they're getting before they actually get to the warehouses because the orders will be confirmed ahead of time. The MIB paid him a visit. Yeah, Arcade One Ups. Those those Gen Zers doing too busy doing TikToks. I don't know if they jumped over. The original leaker must have met the same person as Little Reese. Yeah, that's an AS400 mainframe from IBM, Jason. I used one to do logistics back in 1998. Yeah, and we have very, very similar that run on, they were a Unix ERP application ported to Linux. Looks very similar. In fact, this one looks more fancy because you got different colors on the terminal program. But this is clearly, like you said, it's an old terminal window. And Papa Brad's Papa Brad's in the house says, "Hello, gamers." And he says, "Nice." And James, make sure you post daily so we know nothing has happened. There are going to be large men in dark clothes knocking at your door. Who knows? Maybe they will do the boys skinned MK2 Deluxe for Spectate. Ha! You know, if they did that, I might actually buy that one. I don't think they would, because it's, an R-rated brand, but I would buy that because Garth Ennis is my favorite comic writer, and he, of course, is the creator of The Boys and the writer, and the comic and show is awesome. Uh, Doug Dog says, "I've only ever liked one pub table, and it was an old school Centipede." Change your channel to James doesn't know anything. We need more and bigger Miss Pac-Man. Why the Costco exclusive thing is strange. Yeah, I think that's the carrot, right, that they've used to get the XLs out there, at least last year, that they couldn't get these other, after probably the poor sales with the poor monitors on the, which is strange because you'd think NBA Jam and Golden Tee XL probably sold a crap ton, but they certainly were sitting in inventory at stores for what, at least 2 years, if not three, trying to get those things moved out. So maybe they're all too gun shy. I think what was it on Cornercade the other day when Michael B and OTG, they were all talking, right? There's this price point. You cross that $500 mark, that 499, and it's a lot harder to sell these things than it is 499. So 499 and under seem to be the sweet spot to move these cabs. Once you go over, they move slower. Um, and it says, Brad says, we need more and bigger Miss Pac-Man. Why the Costco exclusive thing is strange. Yeah, it's that incentive to get them to buy them is like, hey, you'll be the only retailer with these. I think that's coded in COBOL. James, the only worry about selling to retailers. I understand that. And that is what is so friggin' frustrating. It really feels to me, and I buy into everything that you've said in the past about they're trying to sell these things. They're trying to come up with new cabs and convince retailers to buy them. I fully believe that, right? We've seen evidence with all over the years of all these different cabs, Double Dragon, the Sonic, the Star Wars XL, the Alien versus Predator, track and field. We've seen evidence of all these different designs over the years that they're clearly trying to push. My my biggest criticism of Arcade One Up, especially right now, is their lack, in my opinion, complete lack of outside the box thinking because it's not even outside the box. You know, you mentioned they brought, and I'm going to draw a blank on her name, the girl over from Havs Labs, right? The Hasbro Pulse to try to get them hooked up with a Kickstarter campaign. But that clearly never happened. And even back then, they did have a warehouse and stuff, yet they still didn't do it. So why bring her in and never launch this thing? And the idea that you have to have a giant warehouse when you do a Kickstarter or something like that really, really doesn't hold water for me because of two things, right? There are companies that specialize, that's all they do is direct to consumer fulfillment. They have giant warehouses. And I know that Arcade One Up worked with a partner that about broke that partner because of the inventory that's sat around in their direct ship model. And that's because they order first and then sold to the retailer, right? They didn't control inventory levels in the way you need to control it. With a true Kickstarter, with a true crowdsource, they would know exactly how many they need to fulfill their orders. They order that amount plus 10%, right? That 10%, extra 10% covers damage. So any returns that they have, et cetera, and gives them a small amount to sell after the fact. It would be one, it would give people a reason to pay $4.99, $5.99, $6.99 because you could follow a model. This is a limited release. We're doing this Kickstarter one time. You get it now or you don't get it at all, right? And so that provides some extra incentive because you have to pay the retail price. So you're likely going to be willing to pay a little more to get it, especially if in a Kickstarter model, you're throwing in other incentives like adding additional games to the lineup list, throwing in anti-fatigue mats. But it also creates a limited availability, which means these things may actually retain and hold value after the fact. Take New Wave Toys, right? You go back and try to buy Asteroids, you're looking at 450, $500. Try to buy Street Fighter 2 from New Wave Toys, you're looking at 500, 600, $700 in some cases I've seen. Like, you can't get those because they were in limited supply. I get it's easier for New Wave Toys because the products are smaller, they can host those in their warehouse. But Arcade One Up has a different model. If it only costs Arcade One Up, and we know this to be true, it's something under $300 to produce these because that's about what they're selling them to their Kokum for and other retailers, right? That's the middleman. And maybe some of them are a little more, which is why you get that $700+ price point on things like Time Crisis. But that they get all that markup, right? They don't have to forego any of it to the retailer. They just pay the direct to consumer fulfillment. And I'll tell you what, their existing partner Kokum does direct to consumer fulfillment. So they already are in business with one of the largest direct to consumer shippers in the country. So it doesn't make any sense to me that they can't do it that way. There's other things that they can do, and I think X-Men 97 is a prime example of a missed opportunity. You can go back to Marvel versus Capcom 2 as well. If you're in the comic industry, you know Diamond Comics. They are the exclusive distributor of comics to comic shops, bookstores, everybody. They're one. It's a monopoly. It's all exists unless you're talking self-published book. Diamond has exclusives from toy lines, whether that's Hasbro, whether that's whatever, the Marvel toys, Marvel Legends, Diamond has their own exclusives for all of that stuff. Diamond is a massive distribution company. You've got comic shops all across the country, multiple in every major city. You're telling me that if Arcade One Up went to Diamond and said, we're going to give you a Diamond exclusive X-Men 97 cab or Marvel vs. Combat 2 cab, that these comic book shops wouldn't order one or two per store in their store. I get one or two isn't 30,000, right? Or 13,000 or 12,000. But as John D noted, most of the time to get a cab made, they just need 3,000. Well, there's well more of that. You have the vendors that would take them to shows with them to various cons. You have game stores that also do that. I mean, the synergy there, if you buy comics, you probably pay video games. If you could get an exclusive game only through Diamond distributions at these local comic retailers, huge sales opportunity, in my opinion, that Arcade One Up seems to be missing out on an obvious opportunity. Then there are family leisure companies. So specifically, there's companies like Family Leisure. There is a Minis Galleria here in Kansas City. Everybody in every city knows these guys. They typically sell Stern pinball machines. They sell Pixelcades. They sell pool tables. They sell all these things. They tend to have a higher net worth clientele because they're selling these large game room systems. They sell other multicades, and there are multiple in every city. I think we have 4 different ones here in Kansas City that I know of off the top of my head that sell some combination of whether that's Stern pinball or other companies, or arcades, pool tables, spas, all that fun stuff. That you couldn't get your product into those stores. I mean, those stores are already selling those kinds of things. I'm almost positive Arcade One Up and Kokum could distribute to those companies, but they're not trying because they seem to only be concerned with the giant national brands. And so they're missing out on the small to medium sized business that is much more in tune with the retail consumer than, Costco or Walmart or even Best Buy is going to be. And so The big corporate umbrella mask that, right? They're looking for velocity. Walmart wants to get something in, get it sold, and get it out the door. Costco wants to get it in, get it sold, get it out the door because they are rotating inventory, special inventory like that with seasons and everything. So you get about a 2-month window, an 8-week window to get your stuff in, sell it at regular price, discount it to get it out of there. So it moves quickly because they're all about velocity of inventory. They're all about dollars per square inch, so it's harder to get bigger things in there because they don't make as much money in a bigger item. That's why they want smaller stuff that moves quickly. And so already Arcade One Up puts themselves behind the 8 ball with the size of their product. And yes, it's about the size of a TV, which is why they focused on these big box stores. But there are so many other opportunities if they would just reach out a little further than, the top 3 or 4 retailers in the United States. And and to me, that's not outside the box thinking. To me, that's common sense thinking. I mean, I've worked most of my entire career in small and medium sized businesses, so it's you know, I know how overlooked they often are and how quickly they can move inventory and how much better they know their clientele than the big guys do. Um, the big guys have it down to a science and how fast they can move stuff and what they can move fast, but that doesn't necessarily equate well to that consumer retailer relationship. It just is about getting cheap stuff in and getting it out the door. And so I really wish Arcade One Up would just think wider. I mean, it seems to me they've even foregone Amazon. They've let Spreetail have what seems to be exclusive ownership of Amazon, because you know what other big company that has warehouses all over the country that ships direct to consumers that anybody, and I mean anybody, can go on and sell their products on? It's Amazon. Spreetail realizes that, and they're out there using them to move that inventory across for Arcade One Up. Arcade One Up could simply receive the whatever cabs that are low ordered cabs that the big retailers won't buy and ship them directly to Amazon. Amazon will keep them in their warehouses. It's called Fulfilled by Amazon. Everybody would get that with free Prime shipping. And Arcade One Up has a place to store it that really doesn't cost them much money at all. Yes, you pay a small fee, but depending on what the cabs are, they won't be there very long in order to pay that fee. And I guarantee you that fee is going to be less between the seller's fees that Amazon charges for the sale and the for sale by Amazon uh, shipping fees that they fulfillment fees. It's not actually, they don't charge the retailer shipping. They just do you pay a certain amount. That isn't less than the cut that Walmart and Kokum are getting, right? Kokum's sitting in the middleman between other retailers and then, the ones going direct to like Best Buy and Walmart. You're telling me that the fees to Amazon are more than the markup those big retailers have? I don't buy that. I mean, it's possible. I just don't buy it. Um, One thing's for sure, they wouldn't have the buyback threat either, because they would only discount it when they want to discount it, and it just means less money coming in, not more money going out. Stock Jock says, addicted to Arcade One Up. He should look through his Ring doorbell to see if the black van is out there. How you feeling, Jason? And no idea. I hated it. Doing great tonight, Pop Reds Gaming. Thank you. 95% done with painting. Very cool. An XL or adult size pub table would be okay. Uh, Biggest thing for me is pub tables take up a lot of room. They are cool. Um, they're neat, definitely to have in your game room so that you have a place to put drinks and stuff. But yeah, you're not going to convince me on a pub table for Miss Pac-Man, or Galaga. I already have the Pac-Man XL. It's got Galaga on it. Not really interested. I don't recall. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for pub tables. Uh, wait, Ralphie Duran works at Costco. I haven't seen him on in over the last 2 weeks. That black van made an appearance at his house. Can you set up a Docker container to run Perl or COBOL? You 100% can for Perl. Uh, Not so sure on the COBOL side of things. I would imagine you could if you had a Linux version of COBOL, because that's mostly what's in that stuff. Hey, James, your internet seems to be really strong tonight. Hope that's not because you joined the free Wi-Fi network that pops up on the FBI van. No, but hopefully it's strong every night because I am on Google Fiber's 5 gig, so I have plenty of bandwidth with all the upgraded hardware. So it better be crystal clear all the time. Last week I was on Wi-Fi in a storm, so that was probably crappy because Wi-Fi is still crappy. I heard Ralphie was in a boating accident. Oh, for me, the X-Men cab was as exciting as a wet fart. And I hope you weren't being serious, and that was more of a joke about the Boeing whistleblower. For me, the X-Men cab was as exciting as a wet fart, and we said that because I got to say fart one more time. I have one episode of X-Men '97 left. Hear nothing but good stuff. It's too bad the toy line came out so far ahead of the shows. Now that because the show kept getting delayed, now that the show's out and everybody's excited for it, the toys are like you just can't find them anywhere. Um, Plus, I'm personally not going to buy that line of toys anyway because traditionally the Toy Biz and Marvel lines just don't hold a lot of value long term. So they are much better than the DC toys. I heard it's got a cameo at the end. Um, it probably does because I hear it ties in with an upcoming movie this summer. Papa Brad's great show. Turns out the inventory system is from 1988. It wouldn't shock me. Loving it. X-Men '97 show is a 9 out of 10. Glad to hear that. I mean, definitely excited to watch it. Jason, sounds about right. Let's see. BD 100%. I was the new guy who was a super enthusiastic about Arcade One Up, but even I am becoming jaded at this point, starting to doubt that Arcade One Up is incapable of releasing new games at this point. Uh, I'm with you, Doug Dog. That's about where I am. That's why I'm building that Akari Warriors cab. I'm of the opinion we've got a lot of interesting form factors in the market, so it's a good opportunity to build our own customs, right? To come up with the games we really want and get them designed how we want them. There certainly is a lot of talented people in this space. So, looking for, if we have people out there making their own risers, right, and selling those, making their own control decks, it would be great to have some control decks designed specifically for games like Robotron, even Paperboy, things like that, because as easy as some of these are to hack, to do soft mods and load like RetroArch on there, you can make your own custom cab for whatever game you want. Now, make sure you own the actual arcade boards because no getting those ROMs from Cool Toy. But that's where I am right now. I'm done waiting for Arcade One Up. I'm gonna do the ones I want, right? I'm going to go out and try to work with all these great people in our community to try to build the cabs I want. And quite honestly, Akari Warriors is one of my all-time favorite games. And when Glenn made those sticks, I just had to have one. I held out hope for a long time that the New Wave Toys, uh, 7/8 scale cab or full scale cab, um, was going to be Akari Warriors. And it sounds like from the rumors that there's no chance of that happening, um, which is a shame. But so I'm building my own. As you've seen in that video where I got his controller working on a stock Arcade One Up PCB. Uh, nothing really super special I had to do, which is awesome. It's basically plug and play. Once you get through how to do it correctly and your brain functions, which mine was shutting down last week. Um, do they speak bocce? Uh, of course they do. It was a protocol droid. Ha ha ha. I agree, Biggie D. Yeah, the black van turned into a boat. Okay, you got me. Uh, second language is AS400. Thanks, James, for trying to get to the bottom of this, and I will continue to do so. Thanks for the kind words, Michael B. And probably the Russians were involved. Russians are always involved. Sorry, I was trying to play to your joke. The person has nothing to gain by being wrong when no one knows him, no recognition. That is very true, but the internet is full of strangeness. But I agree. Um, nothing to gain by just making it up. I don't think they're super active in this space either, which is really interesting for them to come out of the blue and drop information. But now, had you said he fell out of a 10-story window, that might have worked. Let's see here. You need to keep leaning on your informant. Absolutely, 100%. Just don't lean too far. Are you enjoying your Legends pinball? Absolutely, Papa Brad. I think it's awesome, and I love the news that all those new cabs. I cannot wait to get Twilight Zone. That is one I've wanted for a very long time to be able to play, and I am excited we are gonna get that this month. Even if it has flipper lag, I will be happy. And of course, the Star Trek Next Generation, um, the Attack from Mars. I mean, this month at games is killing it. Absolutely killing it. I love what they're going to do starting next Wednesday. And look forward to an awesome pinball pack every week for 4 weeks. I am fired up. I'm ready. Maybe the leaker also happened to be a Boeing whistleblower. Indeed. What if it happens now? LOL. Um, when is the KI Legends 4K coming out? No time soon. Oh God, no, not Emily. Must have missed that one. Um, yeah, Biggie D. I don't know on the KI Legends. I imagine given that they're not doing pre-orders anymore, we're probably going to see it pop out around Christmas time. If I were just a betting man, since that is a prime holiday shipping time, or it could be the start of next year. Depends on if they're listening to the community or not about our feels on what the art looks like on that one, and going back to the drawing board. They certainly listened on the other ones and it really came out well, so we'll see. I've been playing pinball in my Legends Ultimate using a PC. It's fun in the arcade with pinball buttons. Absolutely. You would think that 24-year-olds can think outside the box being a new younger generation, but meh. You are correct. You would think that, but you gotta remember who these kids are, right? And I'm gonna call them kids, but they're not kids, they're adults. They're college educated adults. Cyrus went to NYU, they at this age, they don't have a lot of experience, right? You come out of college, I think Cyrus has been out, what, 2 years, right? 2, maybe 3 at this point, and he got to learn under John D for a bit about the licensing game, but his experience really comes from mostly from theory that you're taught in college, and that's all well and good, but, you know, theory and practice rarely line up, right? And you only learn by getting out, learning what actually works by getting out there and doing it. The theory can take you so far, right? The theory gets you out there and says, "Hey, these are things we kind of know work, but you got to get out there and start failing." And you fail fast and you learn what really works and what doesn't work, because oftentimes people teaching you the theory have never done it in real life. They're just regurgitating things that they've heard, things in their own research, and it's getting out there and doing it that is the proof in the pudding. And it will play all the Zen tables. An arcade one up made close to perfect retro home arcade with the Defender Party Cade. How has that not been made into a three-quarter scale is mind-boggling. 100%. That's the one everybody talks about. That thing was going for ungodly amounts of money, and how that has never been an actual cab is strange. There's strange on a lot of these things. For me, why are some of them not countercades? Like, I don't collect the countercades. I don't think like the form factor, but I understand the value of them. They're a smaller price point. You can get them on toy store shelves. You can get them into the electronics department of Target and Walmart because they fit on a shelf. And Kohl's, right? We've seen them there. We've seen them in all these places. You could make so many different ones of these in that small form factor that will be more of an impulse buy, especially around the holidays. And it just stuns me that they seem to have released so few of those. Um, the party caves to me seem like a harder sale because you got to hang them on doors or the walls, so that becomes more of an obstacle, I think, for people. But the countercades are a no-brainer in my opinion, due to their cost. Like, just doesn't make sense how few of those they actually put out into the marketplace. Uh, does thinking outside the box mean going to Coachella or having a Busta Rhymes play? No, but it does mean spending at least one day every week making meme shorts for your Instagram channel, which if you guys haven't seen it, I did it. I took their it's a work of art short and juxtaposed it with new wave toys. I think it's a good twist. So check that short out on my channel if you haven't seen it. I quite enjoyed making it myself. I thought it was pretty funny. Papa Brad says, uh, Jason says to Papa Brad, wanting deluxe or XL of that one for years. The party cake controlled game lineup. Gorf Sinistar, exactly. Come play in our Star Wars Vader tournament on FX, Biggie. And seems so simple. It does seem simple. And, you never know what's going on behind the scenes as to what they've found out or what they've run, but there are just so many options. You just got to start throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Arcade Arcade One Up could make a new line of arcades like premium 1/6 scale. Eh, eh. I don't know that Arcade One Up has the designers to make a premium 1/6 scale. Uh, you know look at the ones they have out, right? They're works of art. Compare that to New Wave toys. They're just not there, right? They just can't get the quality that's needed to make that work, in my opinion. Um, they're better off with the countercades. It's a more playable size. You're making a game that doesn't look like a replica. You're just given that arcade style feel. The countercade is perfect for that. It doesn't have to look like the actual arcade. It's just got to get close because you're talking about really casual play. I have the right games controls and PCB. Yeah. 15 months since MK cabinet announcement. They need to follow the new wave toys and Nunsco model and quit trying to kowtow to retailers. I think they need to do both. It's called diversifying. Certainly, the big retailers are going to move numbers, right? You have to have any successful business has to have a diversified strategy, and you have to have multiple types of customers. You need to have a product that um, brings in new customers, and clearly the Pac-Mans, the Street Fighters, those are doing that for Arcade One Up. But once you get them in on that first cab, you got to have something to upsell them to. And right now, that's a very limited supply because the retailers aren't carrying very many to do that with. And so, a consumer has to know to go look somewhere else. And we all know everybody in here watching this likely has more than one of these cabinets, right? They get you hooked on the first one. You go out and you buy that Street Fighter, you pack or the Pac-Man or the Mortal Kombat, and you're like, holy crap, this is cool. I want more of these. And then you find out there's an NBA Jam and there's a Dragon's Lair and a Tron and a Star Wars, and suddenly you have 15 of the damn things, right? They need a model that works with the retailers to get the casuals to buy it, to see it in person and to buy it in the first time. Then they need a strategy with other retailers, mid-size, small, and direct to consumer, where they can sell more specialized cabs, more tailored. Again, the caveat there is they have to have licensors that are willing to work at that small scale. So you're probably not going to see that with Disney properties, right? When they want $1 million a year coming back in licensing revenue. But we've all heard Data East will license to anybody, right? You've got God, some of the Kaido. You've got look at the ones, look at the games that New Wave Toys and Numbskull are able to uh, get out. Look at who My Arcade, the games My Arcade is getting out there, right? These guys aren't selling at these massive scales that Arcade One Up thinks they have to sell them at. They can get a bunch of games that we've been begging for. May not be everyone, but they can definitely get those at a smaller scale, higher price point, and get them out to consumers. They just have to realize that they need to diversify. And I only buy the economy stuff so much. I realize inflation has kicked everybody's butt, right? Inflation is off the charts. It's creeping back up again. That's a problem. And the economy is definitely down over its peak in 2019. You know, or when everybody had a bunch of free money from the government that they went out and bought stuff when they were stuck at home. But the reality is the economy right now, consumer spending is at 2016, 2017 levels. So it's not like so drastically horrible. It's at this level and it's bouncing up and down um, with the ebb and flow, right? Getting out of these wars would help so that the oil prices would go down instead of keeping all these conflicts going. That would help lower costs and spark the economy a bit. There's lots of things that could happen. Uh, it's people. The point is, people are still buying, and it's just not maybe in the same way when everybody was stuck at home. But that's why you pivot. That's why you change. And certainly we're seeing it not just in Arcade One Up, right? We're seeing fear drive the game development space. Sony isn't releasing any exclusive titles this year. You've got Xbox's cut way back. You have all these studios doing layoffs. But what they're doing is throwing focus into more known, larger AAA titles. But that's a combination of the stagnation just in the industry as a whole, thinking they have to make billion-dollar games every time they sell a new title versus the swell of indie developers. I mean, there's been never been more games released on a weekly basis now than ever, because of indie companies and indie titles out there building their art form. So consumers are spending their money in different ways, and you have to Arcade One Up is competing with all of those companies, and there's plenty of opportunity out there, in my opinion. They're just, you know, again, they're sticking with theory and um, companies companies that tend to succeed, right? Acquire while the economy goes down, and they sell stuff while the economy goes up. So you gotta win on both ends, and right now I don't know that that seems to be happening. I mean, you could argue they're just socking away cash by selling a bunch of Pac-Mans, but you know, I don't know. You think Pac-Man's gonna sell good or bad in the economy versus something else in your hardcore community? You're the consumer for this stuff isn't the is typically somebody that has more discretionary income just in general, right? These things are not cheap. One of these cabs costs more than a PlayStation 5 or as much as a PlayStation 5. Um, and you have to have enough free space in your home or your apartment. Like, these are people that have cash, that have some financial stability to be able to afford this stuff. And I don't mean to blanket say that because obviously there are people that have saved up for years to buy one and to say that's across the board, but their average consumer has the financial means to buy these things in a good or bad economy. Um, that may change if you actually see layoffs tick up, but the unemployment rate's about the same. You're seeing game dev layoffs more from a change in that industry than anything. And if the game devs are devs worth of salt, devs are in super high demand, whether that's in artificial intelligence or in other spaces. So it's not like there's a lack of jobs for them to go to. Just might be a lack of jobs within the gaming space unless they turn to indie studios. BD's playing FX3. I'm using can't PC can't run FX. I like FX3. Kokum if you get them. I got them. Kokum. Oh, I didn't know that way. Diamond Comics was broken up. That's interesting. Oh yeah. So meaning Diamond doesn't have just everything. Diamond still has Marvel and DC, which are the big ones, right? Um. Uh, let's see here. I used to pre-order comics for pickups from Diamond Preview. Yeah, exactly. Um, why do they call themselves Kokum? It's probably somebody's name or something. I think I read what it stood for at some point, but it's a conglomeration of a few different companies. Kokum is actually owned by a larger distribution company. That's where I say they have the existing relationship because the larger company that owns Kokum does direct to consumer out of other businesses of theirs. Guys, Arcade One Up can go direct to consumer, prepay for the cab like at games with 4K pinball. They just don't want to do that. Sell to retailers. Exactly. There's a prime example. How is at games doing these things? Like, I'm sorry, but these 4K pinball machines take up a hell of a lot more space than an Arcade One Up flat pack, and yet they're cranking these things out across the country, right? So, selling them themselves, including stock themselves. Now, they might not sell the same numbers, but clearly they're doing it when they deliver a high quality product that people want. People are buying it, and at games is able to fulfill that model. Now, it's a new product for them, so it's had its issues. We get that. They had to learn through some early shipping woes, but that's a prime example of a company in the space that can easily do it. And if John D and his 7/8 scale cabs, if that's what he's doing, I hope that's what he's doing. Um, get that. I imagine to get your exclusive license, you got to pick a size nobody's doing. So if you go 7/8, it's almost as big as a real cab, but it's not the small one. So you can carve out your licensing niche right there. Maybe that's what he's doing. That would be awesome. Um, but you know, maybe he can do something like that, right? And says, "I'll bet local meat and beer market would carry them." Absolutely, uh, they would certainly stock them in their store for people to play, as we've seen, like B Kong putting his review unit of Time Crisis in a bar, right? I'm impressed knowing that this thing is what an arcade one up is made out of. Um, that thing was in a bar for what, 2 months and didn't get destroyed. I mean, I think that speaks a lot to the durability of an arcade one-up, which, we all kinda joke about because it's the, cheap MDMF, thin MDMF, not the greatest controls, et cetera, but we know real arcades took a beating in the arcade and broke down a lot and break down a lot. All you have to do is go to Galloping Ghost or your local barcade to see a lot out of order because they take a beating when they're in there. And for Arcade One Up to be in one for 2 months and not get completely destroyed is impressive, in my opinion, on the quality side of things. Because go to NFM, go to Best Buy and look at their floor models. You gotta imagine how many people beat on those things. For the most part, they do get damaged, but not as fast as you would think. Um, at Games 4K pinball comes off the boat and goes into a UPS truck and it's shipped to the consumer. Why can't Arcade One Up do that? Exactly. They can do this stuff. Says Arcade One Up needs to get back to the basics. Let's focus on every 30 plus year old's dream of having their own home arcade. Yeah, again, I this is where, I've begged Arcade One Up. I want to talk with their I wanna have a conversation with the business side of the house. I don't wanna talk about what cabs are coming. Of course I do, but not, I would like them to open up and have their CEO or one of the other people sit down for an interview and have a conversation. I wanna know what they think about their business. I understand Cyrus's jobs. He's the licensing guy. I know David McIntosh is the sales guy. You have international sales guys and all these other things working with the retailers. I want to know from a business leadership perspective. I want to talk to some people in the C suite and I want to hear from them. What is their mission? Who is their core market? Who do they think they are? What I don't want to challenge them. I don't want to to you know second guess them. I wanna hear from them what they view, um, their target customer is, what their target market is. I wanna hear their outlook. What do they think the industry is gonna do? They've obviously put out some press releases talking about being the number 4, uh, gaming manufacturer in the world. Uh, they have an outlook. They have some of this information. Lord, I hope they have some of this information. And I would love to just hear that from them. I want to know, what do you view your mission? What is your actual mission? Is it arcades? Is it gaming at all? Like, what is the core mission of Arcade One Up? Who is that target customer? Who is your customer? What kind of research do you have? Who buys your machines? We can all pretty much guess because we know this community, but I want to know what the date that they see, right? I don't want insider information. I just want to know what their outlook is. That will tell us more than anything about their strategy and what they're willing to do long term. And we can go from there. We can keep hearing stuff about, oh, their customer's the retailer. Well, the retailer is a middleman to us. We're the customer. And if all they're doing is listening to retailers, which I don't think they're doing, right? That's why they're pitching all these different games. They just can't convince the retailer. So, we've talked about that before. Other people have talked about it. We have to figure out how to convince retailers to go out on a limb. But really, we want Arcade One Up to think outside the box. Arcade One Up wanted to be the Apple of home arcades, but the reality is a niche hobby, and the days of cashing in on trendy fad is over. That is absolutely right. Uh, you know, I think the market is way bigger than we all think, but it certainly is a niche market. Um, Retail is a distributor like Kokum, just with a little different business model. Yeah, so but Spreetail, I don't know that this is true, but heard that they have a relationship with Shop Hippo. I haven't been able to confirm that at all, but it does seem like the cabs that get exclusive to Shop Hippo end up at Spreetail. I don't know if that's just a coincidence, um, but it is interesting. And again, Arcade One Up could skip Spreetail altogether and go direct to Amazon. They don't need Spreetail to be the Amazon person. They're sticking somebody in the loop that doesn't need to be there. But it might be that they, in order to get Spreetail to carry them and whatever retailer Spreetail works with, they've foregone that. That may be part of their negotiations and said, we'll give that space up. That may be entirely the case. But we know Spreetail is doing Amazon, they're doing Walmart, and they're doing eBay. And they're probably doing some other ones, which seems to suggest that other than retailers, that they're the exclusive distributor to online marketplaces, um, which is interesting. I'm not saying they are. It seems to suggest that, since those are the three main areas you see Spreetail selling through. Says One Up knows the end is near. They are just releasing rehash cabs of the licenses they do own left. Once those contracts expire, they're out. So that I don't know that the end is near, right? You can't say they're selling. Now maybe they know that the trend is on the downswing, that may be, but they if they're truly sold, like Michael B said, 26,000 Pac-Man Deluxes and 26,000 MK2 Deluxes, that seems to be numbers way higher than any of their other cabs ever sold at. That's an astronomical amount. So to say that, um, they're dying, they're just not they're not taking any risks is the big thing, right? And I think people have said that over and over. They're unafraid to take risks. They can keep doing the rehasses because it doesn't cost them any more to develop them. They already have the tooling done for the form factors. They already have the designs of the flat packs to fix them. All they have to do is print new graphics on them and shove them out the door. Maybe they do a new splash screen. I don't know. I know we saw our first videos of the X-Men 97. I don't know if anybody caught on whether there's a new startup screen on that or not. It'd be interesting to find out if they just used literally the exact same MVC2 start screen, or if they did do a special X-Men 97 one, because there was obviously some development cost there. But for them, it's cheap and easy to do it that way. Um, Clearly, the interesting thing is, of the 2 new cabs we've got, right? The, X-Men 97 and Golden Tee Deluxe. Golden Tee Deluxe needed some retooling, right? To go from the XL to the Deluxe means they had to create a slightly smaller form factor of the same design and get that into a flat pack that is of a different size than the XL. So that suggests they did do some development there. They obviously felt like the Golden Tee was a big enough title that they could move, that it was worth that extra development cost. So so maybe all is not lost, even though it is a rehash. I think, as what Michael B and others have said, they're playing it safe, especially in the early part of the year when you don't have Christmas season to look at. They're taking low risk, um, releasing low risk items into the marketplace. That could be, due to the loan they have, they're looking for quick amounts of cash to continue to facilitate that loan, or it could just be they're stocking up and we'll get some somewhat more exciting things later in the year again as we get closer and closer to Christmas season. Um, we shall see. Uh, James is really milking it, and at least 19K Fox sets a timer and finishes his drink. Yes, he does set a timer. And my wife is gonna kill me because I told her I would get off quickly, and it's already been an hour and a half. Um, 19K Fox can hold his liquor. Um, I had Akari Warriors on NES, never got to play the actual arcade version. The unique control looks cool. Yeah, it's always been one of my favorite. It's, you know, really kind of the first person shooters, only it's not first person, right? It's top down. It's just a typical top down shooter. You're just look like Rambo. But the rotary control is awesome in my opinion because you can turn while still walking forward. It's what we know and how we control first person shooters today with two sticks, right? Only it was one stick and you use the rotary to turn. And there's so many good rotary control games. Heavy Barrel, of course, Akari, there's several tank games. Like there's a bunch, there's not a ton, but there were several. And it's one that could never translate to home well because of the fact that you needed that specialized joystick. And thanks to Glenn, there's one out there now that you can buy as a consumer and it works awesome, and I can't recommend it enough. Even if you just throw RetroArch or MAME on your computer, it is you plug it right in, map the controls in your whatever um, emulator you're using. It works awesome. I really enjoy it. It's a great controller, as is most things Glenn cranks out, right? Uh, this year, hopefully. Last news was Q4. That's absolutely right. Better seriously reconsider that ALU 4K artwork. God, I hope they do. Um, I think I While I'm not a big fan of the shape because they didn't angle the deck, I guess we can forgive them for that. The artwork is just not good. I'd almost rather they I don't know what I'd rather. I mean, because one, I've talked about before, I'm not a big fan of 16 by 9 for retro games. I want the real form factor. Sell me 2 models. Give me a modern retro one with a 16 by 9 screen and give me a retro one with a 4 by 3 screen, and I'll be happy. Uh, Bumper Squids joined. Hello, wonderful gamers. Uh, and then the real world is School of Hard Knocks. That's absolutely right. You gotta fail fast. Pac-Man for president. Uh, uh, Partycades work on countertops. Yeah, they seem. I know they do. They seem awfully thin and seem like they would be high more risk of falling over. And I guess they do have those cheapy legs, right? They have that cheapy brace that you can put on. You get very aggressive playing Street Fighter 2 or something like that, seems like those would, not fare too well. Saw that. New Wave Toys does it best. Did you guys order your, Slurpee cups? I picked one up, and I also got confirmation my Numbskull trash can should be here on Tuesday, so excited to finally get to play with trash. We need another three-quarter arcade maker other than A1 Up. I I agree. Uh, Talk to Corner Kate. He wants to start his own. He wants to get the community together. He needs to do a Kickstarter, right? Get a Kickstarter, Cornercade, get that funding, and then we'll make a company out of it. This is the episode where James jumped the shark. Maybe. I would just say I never got out in front of the shark. Uh, let's see here. I'm enjoying the stream. I don't have uh the canola fight on at the same time. Oh, man, boxing. It is. I long for the days, the early days when De La Hoya was at his prime, when Tyson was in his prime. Those were such good times. Let's see. I wish Arcade One Up would make House of the Dead. Hit that thumbs up. Yeah, appreciate that. A lot of Airbnb would do great with a couple arcades. Oh man, there are whole ones that have tons of those. That's what they do. Airbnbs and Furbos. They throw in a arcade one up small game room to give the vacationer something to do. It's a no brainer. We need to get Cyrus on the show. Yeah, I mean, it's Cyrus when they start doing some promotions again. We'll see how that goes. When is the Mastercade gonna happen? The Mastercade. I can't believe she is so willing to let you use their master bedroom for your arcade. Uh, that's amazing. In 2024, we just need one company to release a three-quarter king of home arcades. Yeah, the reality is if one other company released a replica three-quarter scale arcade, suddenly Arcade One Up would release like 10 and they'd be all new games. They'd rush out because they'd have real competition and they're the dominant player. But right now they have no competition and they can sit back and milk their position in the market. They need this is why monopolies are bad, right? You need not that they're a monopoly truly, but monopolies in general, when you have no competition, you don't have to do crap. In my old profession, I competed with a monopoly, and this monopoly held technology back for 2 decades from consumers because they were worried that technology would interfere with their other lucrative lines of business because they could sell technology delivered the same level of service at a teeny tiny fraction of the cost. So why would they sell that when they can keep milking these big companies for these other products? Um, and they were a monopoly, they're a government regulated monopoly that was allowed to do that until another government regulated monopoly forced them to compete. And then suddenly they said, okay, by the way, we've had this technology since like 1983. So now we're gonna let people use it. Uh, James, we already know the answer. And okay, cool. Canelo just got a knockdown. Do we have Golden Tee Deluxe sales figures? We do not, but I guarantee you they are pretty big. Uh, just being that it's gold, they'll be bigger when they're actually in store and people see them. It's Golden Tee. Like you'll sell that like you sell NBA jams and MKs. Like you can have a total any sports guy, hipster, anybody that hung out in the bars in the 2000s, like whether they're arcade fans or not, they all played the crap out of Golden Tee, and if they have a man cave of any sorts, that they'll put a Golden Tee in that's cheap, right? Might not go out and buy the pedestal like P-dubs and stuff for a couple grand, but they will probably pony down $500, no brainer, if they see it. 5th round right now, I got Canelo winning. Heard X-Men '97 sold about 1,000 units. Uh, uh, they were selling about 1,000 units a month, DD, through Amazon. So I think they're well over the 3,000 mark. They're back in stock again. I saw earlier today at Amazon. So um, they're, they're selling a crap ton of them. I can tell you that. Uh, Hopefully, end of the month, my wife is down with. Yeah, that's sorry to hear that, Corner Kate. I heard that the other day. Um, Next thing you know, Danny, you're gonna have to get a whole new apartment because you're gonna have the apartment Cade, and then you're gonna have where you guys have to live. So keep an eye out for the nearby places to pop online. Um, Maybe they will do a TMNT Deluxe. We can only hope. X-Men Deluxe. So that that's interesting, right? So was it Travis or Mike? I think it might have been Travis. It could have been. Yeah, I think it was Travis that said on Cornercade's stream that they were gonna do 2 X-Men '97 cabs, right? And we got the MVC2, and he said, "And one other." Well, it can't be too shocking what the other one might have been that they were gonna do, right? The, X-Men beat 'em up. That had to be it, which again would say, yes, they clearly still have a relationship with Konami. Um, I personally think that one would have been better, but, because you know been a while since they released those, that game compared to MVC2, which just came out like last year. So same startup animation as MVC2, but after that animation has a new splash screen and a new background when it gets into the game section. But is it appreciate that information. That's interesting because uh they've been doing a new animation on everything. So that makes you think like, they didn't find it worth doing a new animation, and it's probably a lot easier to add some splash screens in, but at least they did something there. They did some sort of development change. Uh, Cornercade, make sure you have a big enough property to build a shedcade. There isn't a new startup. In fact, it looks weird to see Hulk and Zangief on the splash screen. Yeah, that is weird when it's X-Men '97. And so, obviously, I'm way behind here. So let's jump forward. Marine 50 says it's also easier to do mass shipping to retailers. It definitely is, but and you typically ship those to their distributions, and then the retailers do all the shipping for you. Yes, let's start our own company. I got caught. Uh, I got caught masticating a couple of years ago, and my wife still looks at me weird. Oh my. Um, do you think the Arcade One Up employees play the arcades at the office? I think they do. Um, but like anything, right? So this is, I've worked in the tech industry my entire adult life. Um, or in the tech field, not in the tech industry necessarily. I hate getting on a computer when I get home from work. I mean, I do it to play games or YouTube, but aside from that, I I really don't mess with it too much anymore because you do it all day, you live it, you need to get away from it. So, I would imagine if you're working on arcades all day, it loses some of its shine. uh, for recreation. But creating new ones, seeing it come together is probably super exciting and gets you juiced back up. But especially seeing it come to fruition and being in stores and getting in customers' hands. Dude, it's Mrs. Corner Cage. She don't get that name by cooking in the kitchen. Uh, no biggie. They are paid actors. Whoa, 3K. That's crazy. I can imagine someone trying to kiss leadership's butt and play them in the office to get a promotion. Yeah, I wonder how much of their, because they do have the place in Florida, right, in Miami, but I think their headquarters is still listed as New York. So I wonder how much of their company works where. We know John D was working out of LA, right? So, are how many are spread out all over the country? It's a more normal post-COVID way to run your business, but, you know, it also isn't necessarily conducive to teamwork and creativity and all that stuff. Do you think A1 Up does not want to release more titles? I don't think they have a final decision on releases. I think they do. I think they'll release any title, as has been said by many other YouTubers, that a retailer asks them for. But it's on Arcade One Up to convince them to do that. Kevin Clausen, Jim the Pacers fan, do what you think. See. Wait. Do you think Pacers' chances are of beating the Knicks? I don't know. I heard the Knicks laid an egg the other day, so you never know. Travis, let's go. Is that who said that? Danny, my brain has been fried lately. Scoring 40 points per game. I'm so late to the stream. Is Ms Pac-Man happening or not? So the answer is we don't know one way or the other. We have no confirmation that it is the rumors that Michael B or 19K Foxhorde or I heard are accurate as of this time. That was the big news. Like, we have some insider information that basically doesn't prove or disprove any of the rumors. Biggie D's Arcade, yeah, I think he is a decent coach. New Fretbetter, Kevin the Pacers fans, that a diehard is strong. All this NBA talk. You guys need to play some NBA Jam. 2011 champs. Mastercade. Oh, dude, I will be playing arcades 24/7 if employed by One Up. Well, hopefully not, because it means you won't be working. You got to do some work in there. Jim the Pacers fan, I expect the Bucks to win because they still had Lillard. They are in New York now. Guys, let's go. The community is all there. They are all in New York now. Are they really? I thought Cyrus and all them were still down in Miami. I know they shut down the Miami storefront, but I'm pretty sure they were all still working out of, at least he was and those other guys, but could be wrong. I get off Tuesday and Wednesday. Should I go see the world's biggest X-Men in Madison on Tuesday? Sure. What's the world's biggest X-Men? Is that some kind of statue or is it something else? I know they've got that the Arcade One Up was showing that Airbnb that's made out that is the school for extraordinary, whatever. So far, James confirmed that he has no confirmation yet. That is indeed the truth. Alrighty, made it to the end, and what a good one to end on. LOL. Cornick, is that one in PD7's video? PD7 has the biggest X-Men arcade. Oh, that's what you're talking about, that big 6-player room one. And is that the biggest? Because I'm pretty sure there's one on the other side of the country that up in the Northwest that B showed us all. It was that whole room size X-Men as well. So I think there's 2 of those out there. So they maybe have a tie for biggest in the country. Let's go. Alrighty. So that's it. It's been nearly 2 hours for what was supposed to be really only a half hour. We're almost at the end of Star Wars Day. Hope you had a good one. Hope you got a chance to watch some Star Wars or something Star Wars. I did not, but I turned on a game and I put Darth Vader's head behind me. Actually, yeah, head behind me, the game. uh, um, but appreciate everybody joining me. I will continue to press my sources on this to try to get any information, any additional information. I know other people will too. And once we have true confirmation of one or the other, I will let you know. As I've said, I have suspicions that uh, my source may be wrong. I can neither confirm nor deny it. Um, obviously, Michael B, 19K Fox, they have contacts within Arcade One Up that are likely telling them something different. Um, we'll see. We'll see. Um, I certainly hope for me, I hope it's a Miss Pac-Man XL. That's what I want. I hope my leaker is right on the Costco side of things, that is what's coming. And I hope that it isn't a pub table, even for those that like pub tables. I have a table down here that is in my arcade that's a countertop height table, and it's mainly so we can play board games and stuff at it in addition to arcade gaming. So, I don't know that a pub table really facilitates that, especially if you've got joysticks and buttons all over it. But it is a toss up. I think it's a no-brainer sale, but we sell she and we will keep pressing to get you all that news. And so thanks for joining everybody. I really sincerely appreciate it and for spending the last couple hours with me. And I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And until next time, have fun.